What's going on, guys? This is Sam, and today Apple released iOS 12 Beta 2. As always, there are a ton of changes to take a look at. Make sure you hit subscribe down below for more videos like this in the future. Let's go ahead and get started. First up, let's take a look at an iPad change. On the lock screen in iOS 12 Beta 2, there's a new grabber here now that wasn't present in Beta 1, and now it's a lot easier to know that you have access to Control Center in iOS 12 Beta 2. Next up, when you launch Screen Time for the first time in iOS 12 Beta 2, you get this brand new welcome screen right here that I think looks really great, and you also have the option now to enable this for family sharing. So if you want to set this up as a parent, that means you could view the screen time on your children's devices. More importantly though, this is just a new screen time page for everybody, and it shows you basically what the feature does and why you'd want to use it. In Control Center, there's a new hearing toggle now. When you 3D touch or tap on it, it doesn't matter, you're going to get this same screen, and this probably only pops up if you have some hearing enabled device or Bluetooth headphones probably, and when I tap on this, nothing happens. I do want to clarify really fast though, this is a hearing aid icon. It's an accessibility setting, so if you have hearing aids, I'm sure you will see some functionality for those hearing aids here, but because I don't have any, I assume my AirPods are showing up is the next closest thing. In Spotlight Search now in iOS 12 Beta 2, there's this little arrow next to some app results. This is actually a great website. It shows you how to make Red Robin ranch dressing, highly recommended, and it just shows you that basically when you tap on that, it's going to shoot you over to that suggested Siri web page. But there's not a whole lot of functionality here. It's gone now, but you got that new little arrow in Beta 2. Inside of the App Store, when you tap on your profile icon, there's a new option or a section in iOS 12 Beta 2 called Personalization, and it looks like this basically just shows you all the data that Apple has on you based on your interaction with the App Store alone, so you can see purchased apps and games, subscriptions, pre-orders, and then ratings and reviews, and it also talks about some additional info that Apple can use as well, but they're trying to be more transparent about the data they collect, and you can view most of that data right here. Inside of battery preferences, this is iOS 12 Beta 2 on the right. You can see it got a pretty big refresh here. It just looks so much better. It actually shows you when you plugged in your device to charge it. The graphs just make a lot more sense in general, and they show you what apps you were using. This is actually a photo just so I could pull it up easier, but it looks a lot better. It looks a lot different on iOS 12 Beta 2, and I really hope Apple keeps it this way in the future. Next up in iOS 12 Beta 2, whenever Face ID is trying to scan your face, it's going to say this down below, scanning with Face ID rather than just showing the Face ID icon. And then of course, when it recognizes your face, it also seems incredibly fast in this update. I've never seen it work that quickly with apps before, so Apple put some serious work in between Beta 1 and Beta 2 for iOS 12 to make Face ID even faster than it was in iOS 12 Beta 1. Here's another example on the lock screen, just pretty much instant, which is crazy. I think it's getting closer every single beta release for iOS 12 to rivaling 1-to-1 how fast Touch ID is, which is pretty cool. In iOS 12 Beta 2, there is a new status bar location icon. Comparing it to iOS 12 Beta 1, not a huge change by any means. The shape's a little bit different, the edges seem a little bit more rounded, and it just falls in line with the iOS 12 and iOS 11 icon set, more so than the iOS 7, 8, 9, or 10 icon set. Moving on, in Voice Memos, there is a new welcome screen right here. It tells you that the app has been redesigned with a new modern design. It supports iCloud now, and it's also available across iPhone, iPad, and Mac. In iOS 11 and every other version of iOS or iPhone OS before iOS 12, only available on the iPhone, so very big change right there with Voice Memos in iOS 12. On the lock screen in iOS 12 Beta 2 for the AirPlay icon, it now glows blue whenever you're using AirPlay or Bluetooth headphones. So if I tap on Bedroom, which is just my bedroom HomePod, and I tap away, you can see it's blue now, which looks a little bit jarring, a little bit too, I don't know, in your face. It's just like a deep color of blue that doesn't really flow with any of the other white icons or text on the lock screen. So I hope Apple reverts that to the previous white state in the future, or maybe a gray or other color that's just more subtle. Here's another iPad change. iPhone apps are no longer iPhone 4S size. This is a big deal. Forever, I think since iPhone apps could run on the iPad on the very first iPad, they've been iPhone 4S or 4 sized, and now they're iPhone 6, 7, 8 size, so they look a lot more modern. I sort of wish Apple would have put the iPhone 10 apps on here, but then they'd be a little bit skinnier, so this probably makes the most sense. But Instagram is definitely better this way, but still, in 2018, we do not have an Instagram app for iPad. Really hoping that comes in the future, but for right now, this new feature in iOS 12 Beta 2 for updated iPhone 6 apps will have to do. Inside of the News app in iOS 12, there's this Spotlight section right here, but in iOS 12 Beta 2, there's another reference to this exact same spotlight section right here. I don't really get why that's there because it's a literal duplicate of something that already has a dedicated tab. So I'm sure Apple will revert that in the future because it's a duplicate and it just doesn't make any sense right now. I've seen a ton of people really excited about this next change, and it's definitely worthy of the hype. In iOS 12 Beta 2, we have a new 3D touch press animation, or also a long press animation on non-3D touch devices. It looks like that. It just kind of pops in and pops out, and it's definitely like oddly satisfying. I don't know what it is, especially on smaller notifications like this. It just pops in and out, and I could honestly just do this all day. Apple did a really great job with this one. I think it looks incredible, and then it also expands to more information like that. But very quick, very snappy, and definitely fits right in with the other responsive features in iOS 12. Back in the App Store, if you try to search for something, you can search whatever you want. The results here in general are just a little bit smaller in iOS 12 Beta 2 than they were in iOS 12 Beta 1. Another really small change that Apple made, and I feel pretty much indifferent about it. It's a little bit harder to read, but not to the point where it becomes problematic. One new screen time feature in iOS 12 Beta 2 that I forgot to mention earlier, this is the stuff that tracks what you do on your device and for how long. If you tap on all devices here, you actually have the option to view the screen time of any devices linked to your Apple ID. So I click on my iPhone 8 or tap on my iPhone 8 right here. I haven't really been using my iPhone 8, so I don't think there's any data, but let me try my iPad Pro, which has just had the screen on for a while. Looks like this is definitely a very beta feature still, but that's to be expected. This is iOS 12 Beta 2. We've got probably 3, 4, 5, or 6 more betas still to come, but it works really great for at least the device you're using right now, and support for all of your devices is currently in the works, which is cool. Inside of Cellular Settings, the carrier info section is back right here. I didn't really notice it missing, but one Reddit user found it, and I wanted to point it out really quickly. Next, in Settings, General Accessibility, and if you turn Increase Contrast on, messages inside of the Messages app, whether it's text messages or iMessages, are going to be a lot darker blue or darker green. Here's a screenshot of how it looks in iOS 12 Beta 2 now, so if you use this feature, this is what it's going to look like when you update to iOS 12 later this year. When you're logging into websites in iOS 12, the iCloud Keychain pop-up right here does look a little bit different. It's a lot shorter and smaller than it was in iOS 12 Beta 1, and of course when you tap on that, it's going to fill out all of your information once you verify, and then you can log in pretty easily. I would have never noticed this change in a million years, but a Reddit user found that in iOS 12 Beta 2, the blues in weather are darker in iOS 12 Beta 2 than they were in Beta 1. In iOS 12 Beta 2, you can now press and hold on the spacebar and move the cursor around on any device, regardless if you have 3D touch or not. Previously, if you didn't have 3D touch, you could enable it by just tapping and holding on the spacebar. If you had 3D touch, you would press and hold a little bit harder anywhere on the keyboard. But now, if you have 3D touch, you can press and hold hard anywhere or tap and hold on the spacebar to move the cursor around at the top. In iOS 12 Beta 2, the media types options are bigger. I didn't know this existed until someone pointed it out, that this was a feature in iOS 12 in general. So apparently in this update that Apple released today, they're a little bit bigger and you've got a ton of options here. I can't believe Apple gives you all these ways to sort photos inside of iOS 12. Inside of the iOS 12 share sheet, there have been a couple of tweaks here. I can't pick out exactly which icons look different, but the watch face definitely looks different in iOS 12 Beta 2 than it looked in the past. It almost looks like the screen is larger, like the rumors suggest the Apple Watch Series 4 is going to have a larger display that could be edge to edge or nearly bezel-less, just like on the iPhone 10 that I'm holding right now. So maybe that's a hint there, or maybe it means absolutely nothing, and it's just a little bit of a different icon right here. I also want to say that assign to contact could be different, but just some updated options in the share sheet. Something that I keep reading about online that I haven't experienced on my own device, but that is apparently a change in iOS 12 Beta 2, is that when you unlock your device, people are getting haptic feedback or feeling a vibration. I've seen it on the iPhone 6s and a few other models as well. I have the iPhone 8, which has the latest technology in it. I'm not getting that at all. I'm not feeling a vibration when I'm unlocking. So I don't know if it's like a widespread thing or a bug, or if it's eventually going to be a feature for everybody, but still something that I wanted to highlight. If you're experiencing it, I think it's intentional on iOS 12 Beta 2, but I'm not experiencing it on the iPhone 8. While I'm running a Geekbench really quickly here on the iPhone 8, I wanted to talk a little bit about battery life and performance so far. For anybody kind of worried about updating, 9 times out of 10, every other year before this year, I would not recommend updating to iOS 12, but Apple has done something incredibly remarkable. They've made it so smooth so fast, so incredible, to the point where iOS 12 Beta 2 is actually better and to me feels more stable than iOS 11.4. Now I'm going to follow up again doing a speed test comparison between iOS 11.4 on the iPhone 8 and iOS 12 Beta 2. It's just incredibly stable. The battery life for me has been so ridiculously good. This doesn't feel like beta software to me. All right, the Geekbench test just finished up, so to take a look at this, in Beta 1 on this iPhone 8, I got 4237 and 10,469. Pretty insane scores. I was shocked by that on Beta 1. Now we're getting 4220, 10,352. So a little bit lower on both the single core and the multi-core score. I'm sure it'll go back out by the time iOS 12 is released, but no actual performance maximum load Geekbench improvements in iOS 12 Beta 2. So that's iOS 12 Beta 2. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed watching, if you learned something new in this video, it always helps me out if you just take 1 second to drop a like, and of course, hit subscribe for more videos on iOS 12 in the future. If you'd like to go that extra mile to help support the channel, you can head over to shop.iupdateos.com and buy a t-shirt there. That would be incredible. But for now, I've been Sam. I hope all of you are doing great, and I will talk to you in my next video.